Well, if you don't recognize this gun, do not be ashamed, because this is a very odd one. This is the Ukrainian Malyuk, and I'll be honest, I didn't know anything about this until deciding that I was going to do a video on it. So I'm going to give you a rundown of the facts that I just kind of found out about. So when I first picked it up, the one thing that is immediately obvious is that the receiver here is just that of an AK-47. So I have one here. Let's take this sight off and the mount so that you can see the similarities. So take a look at those two next to each other. The stamping's pretty much identical. Those can vary a bit depending on how they're manufactured, but something like the indentation to hold the mag in snugly, you can see is pretty much exactly in the same spot. The safety and dust cover on both, very similar. So this thing, you can imagine, is just like a chopped up AK that's been moved around and has a polymer front receiver area, grip, stock mechanism. But some of the internals have been kind of connected to the front, and that actually makes it a bit less responsive. So if we look at something like this AK, let's throw that into, this is fully automatic there, allows us to rack the bolt. And we take a look in there, you can't really see anything, but imagine that in here is where the springs are, the recoil spring for the hammer, and everything that goes along with that. So as you pull this trigger, it's actually attached to the piece, which is going to let go of the hammer and then fire forward. And that's a very crisp and direct action. So I know you can't appreciate it from the point of view of you watching me play, but I'm going to shoot it anyways because we have it. Get on there. Well, okay, that one doesn't want to cooperate, so that's okay. So just take my word for it that it would be very direct and crisp as a stamped sheet metal receiver can be. Now on this one, you still have the same hammer mechanism back here, but it is now connected to the trigger up here. And that's done via long either rods or cables, probably a rod in there somewhere. Cable is even more prone to any sort of minute adjustments under tension. So when you pull this, it's actually having to move this piece, which is attached to the rod, which is attached to the disconnect, the hammer, everything going on in there, and then activating or releasing the hammer to fire the round. So that makes the triggers on these bullpups feel really weird because of all of the tooling and parts in between. And you also have this, I guess, much nicer cocking lever, which is relocated. It doesn't really have to be, but this one's non-reciprocating, or at least I believe so. There's very little information about these online. I mean, as I said, it's Ukrainian, and it's unclear whether it's in full service in their militaries or special forces. All that we really know is it's part of the experimental program for them to try and go through trials and decide which rifles they're going to use. And there's a variant which looks very like this, made by IPI, called the Vulcan, and that's kind of as close as we can get to the Malyuk. If you have any additional information or can point us to information about Malyuk, please let us know in the comments, because we're always excited about more information. So let's head to a drum magazine. Now with this magwell, it wouldn't really work, and we'll talk about that after we fire this thing. So the obvious reason it wouldn't work is because it would not fit together like that, but that's okay for this. So let's clear this off, see how we do at 30 yards from the hip. Oh, that's single fire. Oh, if only these were tracers. You know what, we can do that. We can add that pretty easily, I think. Where's my ammo spawner thing? Whoa, supposed to lock that in. Okay, so let's find some 7.62 by 39 because it is firing the same round as an AK. It's just an AK. Here you are. And let's get some tracer rounds and load held mag. So nice. We've got green tips. Let's get this out of our way. Okay, now it should be even better. How did we do that first time? 287, or yeah, 287 I think. This one should be even better. It looks awesome, but I don't think it's gonna be much better. There's a lot of drift. 256, even worse. So we had 4 less shots on target. That's all right. Hip fire isn't supposed to be accurate. We didn't even have the sights ready to go. So the big difference between how these two take magazines is that on the traditional AK, it's a rock and load system. So it has two little ledges, little lips right there, and you want to swivel the first one in to attach and then rock it backwards so that it meets this catch held by this spring-loaded mechanism. So you'll attach it there, swing it back, and as this catches the back, it will be locked in place. So it would look something like that. Now that is what allows you to do the classic reload, which is that tactical AK reload, where you're going to brush the old mag. Now there's a problem with the clipping on the front, so you have to use the back and then swivel it to the side. So just being able to kick that out with the magazine right there, that release is what allows for that. Now on this one, because it is a deep mag well, which is generally preferred because it keeps things seated in better, you cannot rock it in because it is completely surrounded there. So what they have done is created a mechanism which allows you to feed these in vertically. So you would just push that in straight up and it would catch. Now to release that, you press back here, which I am 85% sure this is the mag release. You would pull the second trigger and this would drop free. But as I mentioned, not a lot of information out there. If you find any or have any, please cite your sources. I would love to know more about this thing. Nice. So since we have some toys, let's add those in the form of this red dot. Well, it's not really a red dot, it's more like a green chevron, and we can co-witness them with the iron sights, but I prefer to just let the regular one go and add on the suppressor. So the safety is up here. You can see it go side to side, and to go between single and fully automatic, it's back here, because for them to add a way for you to change the fire mode from up here would require a similar mechanism to the trigger, but this is so stiff. Like on AKs and everything else, it is incredibly stiff to move that back and forth. So for you to have to do that with your finger would be pretty much impossible. So I believe, okay, this is fire. Good, so we're clear. Now we're on safe. Throw this gigantic suppressor on, and we're good to go. Now I wish we could load this up. Let's load this up with some tracers again. Easy peasy. So we got green tracers, green scope, and can we beat 65 shots on target, 287 points? I think we can. Whoa. Gosh, the high fire rate on this thing. That's gotta be pretty good. Woo, smoked it. So not a lot more on target, but 400 points compared to 287. Pretty awesome. So that is the Malyuk. It's very cool. It is not the first bullpup style AK. Some collectors have done this themselves and some companies have done it, but it is generally agreed upon to be a less than perfect solution for all the reasons that we outlined, as well as, you know, some ambidextrous issues like this being right up next to your chin. I've never shot one, so I don't know if this length would allow that to clear your face, but there's still a lot of rough edges around a design like this. Sweet. So thank you guys so much for watching. We got one more mag. We got to shoot it out, right? Why don't we do a shooting competition between these two? Sounds like the Malyuk had a much higher rate of fire, but let's just find out for sure. Oh no, I messed it up. What have I done? Didn't cock this. We got to redo it. How dare I? Easy enough. I have a hard time getting the mag in because my controllers actually collide here, so I have to go in a little bit farther back. So we set. Oh, gun safety. Let's go. Ah, I messed up again. So this guy got a late start, but they finished at about the same time. So that's some bad science, but it told us a little bit. A faster fire rate. So there you go. Malyuk versus AK. The bullpup design shortening things down quite significantly, but making operation a little bit trickier. That's it for now on the Malyuk. Again, thanks for watching. Comment down below if you have any information or any questions or anything you want to talk about for this one. But that's all for now, and I'll see you guys in the next video.